All right, so actually the last thing we're going to do that's required for this homework is I'm going to show you weighted normals. Now, we've talked a little bit about what normals are, but the problem with this object that we have here is that we don't have enough subdivisions. I'm not talking about the polygons here. I'm talking about this edge. It goes from one to the next. It's just too what we call sharp, right? It's infinitely sharp. It's impossible. It's not realistic. Everything in reality that we live in, the world we live in, has that slight beveled edge. You can look at your phone, you can look at a credit card, you can look at anything. So obviously the amount that it has depends on the object that we're talking about, but we need to give that stuff back to this or add it to this so it feels more real, right? This is one of the things that we don't subconsciously notice, but this edge right here is not realistic. So the way we do that is we subdivide it. And the way we used to do that is things like we used to use Turbo Smooth and add all this detail in. But see this, and we lose some of our iterations. We can come back in here and try smoothing groups, but then we lose it back. And if you look at what it's doing, it's just subdividing it more. If I turn this off, see, it's just cutting it in half. And that is going to be used. We'll use that for certain things, but not for this case. So how do we make it look right? How do we fix some of these issues that makes it feel less realistic? Even at this distance, we need to have something that catches the light. So what we are going to do is do something that came up with more recently. We're going to find all those hard edges, and we're just going to like say this one's a hard edge, we know. This one's a hard edge, we know. This one's a hard edge, and probably this one too. And I'm only worried about the ones pointing out. I don't care about the interior ones. And we're going to grab this one and this one. And I'm just double clicking and holding control, so I'm grabbing them all at once. And this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. And then I'm not going to worry about those two. We could do those though. Theoretically we should, but they're fine. So I basically grabbed all those extra rings that we made around it and all their edges, just the exterior edges of those rings, by double clicking and holding control and then just grabbing them all, okay? So what I'm going to do is chamfer them just once. I'm not going to add a lot of polygons to this, which is one of the things we try to avoid. And then I'm not going to add, make it, subdivide everything I don't need and smooth it out too much. So I'm just going to do a simple chamfer, and then I'm going to change it. Now, this is the reason I like to use centimeters instead of meters, is because I'm really, really low here. I do meters because this is what it works in the engines that we work in, but centimeters allows us to go quite a bit lower and see the results. So if at 0, we'll just say this starts at 0 with 0 subdivisions. I think it probably had 1. And if it has 1, it's going to look like that. It doesn't do much. We want to go back down to 0. And we're going to zoom in on this and see what it's doing. And just on one of these edges, it's going to do it to all of them. I'm going to scroll up, and you'll see all it's doing is dividing that edge just the slightest bit. Okay? It doesn't have to be a lot. It just has to be a little bit. Okay. And then we'll say okay. So the problem with that is that it kind of messed up all our polygons, right? And we could even do the interior ones if you want to. It messed up all our smoothing groups. So how do we go back? Does that mean we have to go back and fix it? Why did we do those first? All that stuff. And you can do the interior, like I said, if you want to. We don't have to go back. We're going to go to a modifier in here that's called weighted normals right here. This is a new thing that's come out in the last few years. And we're going to click on that. And if we turn it off, you'll see that it's doing something. I'm not sure if we like what it's doing because it seems like it's smoothing everything to here. If we turn this back off, it's like this is smooth and this is smooth when we don't have it on, but when we have it on, this is hard, but now it's smoothing between here. Well, the cool thing is, since we did our smoothing groups before we started, all we have to do is come down to the options down here and say use those smoothing groups, and that uses them. Okay, so now we've gone back to our hard surfaces where they need to be, where they're separated out, and we have our edges now showing. And see, as you see this now, you can see there's an edge there, an edge there, an edge there, all the way up here. And it just feels more correct, or more realistic. So that's all we're trying to do at this point. We can even come back down now that it's a modifier. We can go down in the stack and try and see if it works if I do the interiors, because I wasn't crazy about what we were getting. So let me turn these back on real quick. We could probably do these. I'm not sure what's going to happen. These are really good for the exterior stuff, but we'll see what happens here. This is not required if it sucks. If it goes out pretty good, then maybe we'll talk about it. All I care about is the exterior edges. Those are the ones that make the biggest deal. And the bigger you make the chamfer, the more those edges will stand out, which is all artistic, right? How sharp should they be? How much reflection should they get? I'm going to turn off my wireframe here and take a look and do a chamfer, and we'll just leave it the exact same chamfer. And the problem that we're getting is I say, okay, so we turn this on and we turn that off. I mean, it gives us a little bit of a gap between there, so I guess it works. That was before. That's during. Yeah, I kind of like it. I'm not going to require it because it's something I'm adding as we go on the hawk here. But yeah, it gives us a nice shine before it goes in. So it works pretty good. We could even do these edges. Come back to here, double click, and double click, just the exterior ones. We want that center one to be sharp. And we'll go chamfer. And then this one's going to have to be really small. Maybe like that much. Okay, turn that off. And it gives it more of a lit feel. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure if I like that one. Anyway, so it's up to you how you want to do it. But those last things, I do want the exterior ones showing up. Don't necessarily need the interior ones. But that's it. Now we're going to start unwrapping. So that's it for now, and I'll talk to you later.